Hello, how are you? Happy Monday. This is Art Appreciation Online. I'm your instructor, Brian Hitzberger, and this week we're actually looking at architecture. Architecture is a little bit different than the other mediums we've been discussing because unlike painting, graphic design, or ceramic, or metals, or any of that other stuff, architecture is actually a human necessity, like food and water. We need shelter in order to survive, right? So the interesting thing about architecture is that it brings a sense of design to human necessity in order to be realized as an art form. So for this week, I want us to actually think about the kinds of decisions that an architect makes and why they make those kinds of decisions. So let's take a look at this week's prompt. This week's readings and PowerPoints discuss the history and development of architecture. A complex and expressive art form that also happens to be, along with food and clothing, a human necessity. All of us have been experiencing architecture more or less continuously since birth. As human beings, we spend the majority of our lives indoors with structures that have been constructed and built by architects. And these architects are essentially designers of space. For this week's discussion, I would like you to critique your own space. Use the Feldman method, which by now we are all familiar with, to describe, analyze, interpret, and judge the space in which you live. This is more challenging than you might think, as we spend so much time in our homes living our lives in the we spend so much time in our homes living our lives that the kinds of creative decisions that went into making them become invisible to us over time. So that's kind of a complicated sentence. Let me unpack that. I think that actually because we become so familiar with a place, we don't really see it anymore. We don't really see our house. We don't really see it when we're inside it. If you've ever had the experience of buying a home or house hunting, you kind of walk in and sort of see a place with fresh eyes. And it's an interesting experience because you're trying to imagine yourself living there. You might be trying to imagine yourself living there 5 years down the line, like navigating the house naturally. You're asking yourself, can I feel natural here? Hopefully you feel natural in the house that you're in because you've been there long enough, or the space or apartment or condo or whatever that you're in, or maybe you share a room with other people in a larger house. But I would like you to actually try and put fresh eyes on the place that you inhabit so that you can really see it and talk about it in this critical way. Be considerate with this. You are trying to put yourself in the mindset of the artists who designed the space in which you live, and ask yourself earnestly, why did they make the decisions that they did? Okay? As always, your videos will be just a few minutes long. Probably 4 minutes is about enough, and you're going to want to use scholarly language and tone. If you feel like you have trouble sort of kind of editing them down to that time level, maybe you could actually write some notes out and refer to them while you're making. That's always welcome. Some other things I want to talk about this week. Let me take a look. For this class, I think we have some other activities coming up this week. Yeah. Our second written critique is going to be due Friday, March 2nd. That is it's Monday. That's actually it's this Friday. So that critique will take the same format as the first. And you can review the student example that I have uploaded, I think like towards the first week of class. There's also a lot of language and description about what I'm looking for with these papers in the last few pages of your syllabus. So if you want to refresh yourself and kind of take a look at those, you certainly can. And then you also have a graded activity number 3, and that will be due Sunday, March 4th. So that's a week from yesterday. I'm making this video on February 26th. So this coming next Sunday, the graded activity will be due to. So paper due on Friday, graded activity due on Sunday, video due on Thursday, responses due on Saturday. So it's a big week, but it is, of course, midterms. Your midterm exam, I will actually be posting that. I will be making that available the week of spring break. But let me stress this. I can't remember, it's either 10 or 15 questions. All the questions are either true, false, multiple choice. It's open book, it's untimed, and you can take it at any point up till the last day of class. So, I mean, All these things I'm saying to you are like multiple choice, true, false, open book, untimed. You can take it anytime. I'm trying to let you know that actually it's, as far as the work in this class goes, the midterm exam is not one of the larger things. It's a relatively small portion of your grade. I think if you've been keeping up with the readings, I don't think it's very challenging. It's just like another way to assess understanding. So I wouldn't sweat it too much, but that will be appearing actually the week of spring break. You can do it right when it appears. You can wait until the last week of class to take it. It will only cover the material that we've read up to this point. So I think architecture will be the last chapter that's covered. So everything leading up to architecture is fair game for the 10 or 15 multiple choice questions of the midterm exam. Okay? The big thing this week is the papers. As always, those are a significant portion of your grade, so you really want to make sure and nail those. A few of you have written me questions like, is it okay if I write about this or that for my paper? And I'm hopefully I've gotten response to all those, but I feel pretty good. I think most people really understand the format of the papers that we're looking for. And I think that's it for the week. So thanks so much, guys. Have a nice week, and I hope you all have a really wonderful spring break. I know I'm looking forward to it. All right, see you next week.